Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity, and also want to thank the ranking member and these 5 distinguished gentlemen for being here today. Thank you very much. Sometimes timing is everything. And this week, the newspaper headlines have been screaming about climate disasters. New York Times, floods, fires, withering heat. Climate change brings new disasters every day. Flooding closes roads and turns through much of Vermont. New York Times, the heaviest rain ever in Japan's south sets off floods and landscapes. Heat wave, maybe the longest ever, and temperatures will likely increase. Northeast storms dumps over 2 months' worth of rain on Vermont. Helicopter and boat rescues underway across a devastated Vermont. Do any of you gentlemen think that human actions with respect to the use of fossil fuels have contributed to these climate disasters? And you can start in any order you'd like. Yes, sir.
Okay.
But just don't go long, because I don't have a lot of time.
If you look at the peer-reviewed literature, what you will learn is that since the end of the Little Ice Age, global temperatures have risen about 1.1 degrees, of which roughly half is due to increasing atmospheric concentrations of greenhouse gas emissions. So the narrow answer to your question is yes. Mankind's activities have influenced the climate, and we can detect those effects. The next question is, are those effects large, and is there evidence of a crisis in the sense of the several examples that you have cited? The answer is no.
No, okay.
There's no evidence of a crisis.
No evidence
It's
of a
not
crisis.
the same as saying
Right.
that
I
there's
get
no
it.
evidence that anthropogenic emissions have had an effect.
Right.
They have.
But it's not a crisis, and you wouldn't say that the burning of fossil fuels has been a large part of the crisis that we do see.
I don't think we see a crisis, and therefore I don't think fossil
All right,
fuel
fair enough.
burning-
Fair enough. Anyone else give it a shot? Yes, sir.
Yes, I think that human activity has had an impact on the climate, and I think there's at least a theoretical link between some of that activity and certain climate patterns that we may or may not see. I also think, however, that the human cost in terms of loss of human life over the last century from climate-related events has gone dramatically down. And that's because of the broad economic growth that we've seen in our country. And therefore, I think it's very important that we consider that economic growth in our capital markets and financial regulatory structure as a part of that, so that we can remain a wealthier country and more resilient to climate impacts.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Ellison? Yes, sir.
I would say certainly human activity has contributed to a chaotic climatic environment. There's no doubt in my mind, and I would disagree that it is not causing a crisis. I think it is, and I think it's causing a crisis as it relates to agriculture, species, weather events, and I think it's a serious problem we have to address.
And of course, you're more in line with most of the scientists that are saying it's a crisis. And it is because we're burning fossil fuels. Now, how can that not be material? How in the hell can that not be material? That's why investors want to know, what is your company doing? Is it investing in a way that's responsible? And more importantly, are you a company that's going to be around for a while or not, because you are in a situation where you're not paying attention to these risks, and these risks are real. And that's why so many people want to know about this. And timing is everything. I can't think of a worse time to be trying to pass bills against environmental issues than right now, when the headlines are screaming about these climate disasters. Timing is everything. I mean, it really is fascinating to me that these bills are coming up right when the scientists are saying this is a disaster. And human beings are causing it because of the burning of fossil fuels. And with that, I thank you, and I yield back.